This is Hunger HUD tutorial part 4, ground combat. The previous video I showed you all the punches and so on, so I think I let it run a little bit too long. This time I want to just show you some fighting action, although bear in mind this is me and my alt switching between screens, so it's not quite as action-packed as it would usually be. Oh, perfect hit right out of the gate, there we go. One thing I didn't talk about in the last video was blocking. When you're in fighting mode, the backwards key brings your arms up to block. That is a middle block. It's a generalised block and will block all moves to some degree. If you then press back and left, you get a high block. Back and right is a low block. Now, as I say, the middle block is generalised, so because Second Life reaction times are a little bit slower than I would have liked, you do get a generalised block for every move. But it's not as effective as if you get a perfect block. So if they're doing a high kick and you high block, you get a perfect block and low blocks for low kicks. You'll know you've got a perfect block because it will stun your opponent momentarily. You'll see their arms drop, and it will give you a chance to counter. So if you're up fairly close, and let me see if I can get the timing right, I'll be able to do this on an alt tab. Let me find out if I can. So he does a high kick and I do a high block. No, it's not going to happen. Let's do a slow high kick. Would help if I was in fighting mode. Come on. Slow high kick, high block. There you go. Get a bit closer. See his arms drop down there for a moment. He recovered quite quickly, and that's because his stamina is currently very high. But a little bit later on in the fight, if you pulled that move and you managed to get a perfect block, you would get the opportunity to hit back. Let's talk about health and stamina. Green bar on this little health bar, that is your health. The blue bar is your stamina. You'll see as I'm punching, the stamina drops. It will only start to regain when I stop. The speed that you regain your stamina depends on how much health you've got left. So towards the end of the fight, when your health's really low, if your stamina is also really low, then you're in trouble. So you need to try and maintain that stamina. Mostly you need to make your punches count, try not to miss, and you need to pause every so often and get your wind back. Stamina affects how powerful your hits are. It will alter the outgoing force of those hits. It also affects how quickly you can throw punches and kicks and so on. So you'll see if I start punching, it will start off fairly quick, and then it will start to slow down as that stamina drops. Because my guy's just wearing himself out with no gain. And at this point, Hunger Engineer would be able to step in, beat the crap out of me, and there wouldn't be a lot I could do because I'd be too worn out to defend myself. So you need to keep that stamina high. When you're healthy like this, it doesn't matter too much, you regain it quite quickly. So yeah, stamina also affects recover time. When you get hit, the time it will take before you're then able to throw a punch is affected by how much stamina you have left. Doing the same move repeatedly slows you down, so you're much better off going right, then left, then right, then left. And you don't really have to frantically tap. Although, yeah, alright, to be fair, it's working quite well there. But the point is you can line up the next move. So if I throw a reverse spin kick and then hold down the punch button, he'll throw that punch as soon as he's ready to do so. So you don't have to be frantic with your movement, you can be quite calm and collected about it. Blocking, of course, is important. Blocking continuously is pretty pointless because it will wear you down still. You'll lose your health and your stamina, just less so than usual. So let's let old Hunger Engineer get a few hits in as well, so I can show you what happens when it's been a valid fight. Oh yes, that's another aspect I mentioned. Hunger Engineer sidesteps me and is able to punch me in the side, kick me, and so on. My little guy will react accordingly. If I'm in movement mode and I start moving, it will line me back up with him. This is if you're on the combat pod, of course. The combat pod is completely affecting my movement right now. If I'm in fighting mode and he sidesteps me, holding a block will turn me back to face him. So whichever mode you're in, you can turn back towards your target again. Running, as I showed you earlier, except that it's laggy, you can sort of affect where you run. As you can see right now, I'm just running off across the sim. By pressing up and down, it will turn you slightly, so if they've sidestepped you, you can try and affect your direction that way a little bit. But generally speaking, it won't lock onto them, so if I just run and they sidestep me, they will have dodged me. So it's a fairly difficult move to pull off. It's just a nice one to be able to catch them off guard every now and again when they're not expecting it. Of course, you can also use the double tap forward to quickly get into range for a kick, so they don't see it coming. Oh, except that I missed. And there is a little bit of a double tap backwards, just moves you back a little bit faster than it normally would, so you can use that to rapidly get out of range. And that's about everything, really. This time you see it was a valid fight. And here you can see the information about the fight. Beat Hunger Engineer to death, tells me the health remaining, the multiplier gained, and it gives you a readout of hits versus blocks, perfects, and so on. And the fight duration. See, I missed an awful lot of times there. So this is all the stats that will be saved for each fight. Your multiplier, you can see I'm now up to 1.29. I'll put up a chart which gives you some information about the different multipliers and the health that the different species have. But basically, with my multiplier at 1.29%, I will start a fight with 1.29% more health and more power in my punches and kicks. If you lose a fight, your multiplier will go down a little bit as well. So it doesn't go up too quickly. The speed that it increases may be in the future. We'll see how it all plays out. You'll notice if I don't use the combat pod, it's a lot harder obviously to line yourself up. I'm sure some people will be used to this. You can still fight. Oh dear, my system's starting to lag out a bit now because this video file's got quite large. So you can still fight, just the same as before. Move your little health bar down out of the way slightly. You can also go into mouse look when you're not on the pod, so you can throw your punches and kicks from there. Oh no, that's not true actually. When you're in mouse look, because it can't read left and right, it reads it as if you were pressing shift left and right. So in mouse look you can kick low and high, but you can't punch. But it does mean you can use it to get yourself lined up, throw some kicks, you can fly out of mouse look, throw some punches, back into mouse look, throw some kicks, move around a bit. So if you prefer fighting that way, that's just fine. You can also, when in moving mode, double tapping page up or the E key will switch you to a rear camera view, so you can have a rear view on the combat pod as well, if you prefer that kind of way, and it switches your keys around appropriately. So now to walk towards him I'm pressing forward, backward, sidestep left, sidestep right, and the punches are all the same, left, right, so on. And a double tap forward to barge him. So I think that's going to do it for the moment. I hope you enjoy it. It's been a long time coming, I know, but hopefully it all works out well. And weapons later on will be altering your fight styles slightly. It will probably take over the move for one of your hands, give you a bit more range, a bit more power, that kind of thing. Armour will come later on, enhancers, various things like super blood that will cover. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy.